What did you study for your dissertation?
I invented a typology of types of creativity in the visual arts. See, everybody was, at that time, almost everybody, was thinking about creativity as a generic G factor function. If you're creative in math, you might be creative as well in any of the sciences, even in literature, that there's something common about creative thinking that cuts across fields and processes, etc., etc. And little Eisner comes around and says, no, it's not common across. You can be brilliantly creative in writing a novel and not very creative making a painting. That creativity is content and form specific, and that we ought to be looking at modes of performance and using creativity as it appears in the subject or process that we're using. That was the thrust of my dissertation. And they liked it, and I thought it was okay. Anyhow, I get the idea to submit the dissertation to AERA, who was making selections of outstanding work, which is what I did do. And as a result of the work, I got one of the major prizes that AERA gives. And I was a little pisher. I mean, it was just first publication, more or less. I think what I would say about Chicago, it kept the questions open. There was always some constructive objection to what somebody had planned, which is fine. And it embraced a love of the problematic and a feeling of camaraderie with your fellow students.
You said a moment ago that you knew that you were cut out for bigger and better things. So when you graduated with your PhD, what were you thinking at this point? What were your aspirations?
Well, so what I did during my master's doctoral periods was to write articles. And I must have published half dozen articles over the couple of years that I was working on my master's, and some additional ones when I was doing my doctorate. But I went to a conference at the Hilton Hotel in Chicago, which was run by the conference by ASCD, Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. And there was a speaker there, and that speaker was saying things that I thought were problematic. And I said so. You know, with these mics you can move about. And so I did say so. And then the session, which was in the grand ballroom of the Hilton, so there must have been 2,000 people there. this man runs across the room. He says, can I see you? Sure, you can see me. So it turns out this man is Manuel Barkin, who is the top art educator in the country, who wanted to see me. So to make a long story short, he asked if we could talk further and could I send him a copy of the dissertation, which I did. To make a long story short again, he offered me a job at Ohio State University. He was at Ohio State University. So that was, I got that job before I got my doctorate, which is unusual. Now, if you don't have a PhD, getting a job into a university is a very difficult task. So anyhow, I got the degree, and I got the job, and I stayed at Ohio State 1 year. What happened in that year? I was publishing, and I went to the dean of the college in which the visual arts were housed, and I said to Jerry Hausman, who now is an old friend of mine, I need a promotion. He said, Elliot, you've only been here 4 or 5 months. I said, but I've got the goods. I can't give you a promotion until you finish the degree. You're almost done with it. Well, that didn't satisfy me, and I looked around at job opportunities. I found a position through John Goodlad's assistance. I went out to UCLA, talked with them, gave a lecture, got a mixed reaction to the lecture, but on the trip back from UCLA to Columbus, John called. He hoped I would take the job at UCLA, and I said, sure I would. You know, I didn't have alternatives anyhow. When I got back to Ohio State, somebody on the Ohio State faculty gives me the New York Times to look at. And I look at the New York Times, and it has an article on the director of the UCLA Museum as being canned by the faculty, largely because the director thought that non-objective painting was essentially wallpaper. And if the museums that made such a heavy investment in that kind of art had the courage, they would admit it, turn it in.
Mm.
Well, they had an uproar among his faculty. I called John, good lad, about what the situation is at UCLA, because I'm supposed to be coming down from Columbus to Los Angeles. We had he says to me, John did, Elliot, if you could hold it off making the move for a year or maybe two, it would be a lot safer than coming now. I said, John, the movers are going to be here in a few days. I don't have the option of not coming now. So here I am with my family, with my household belongings being wrapped up for travel to some storage place in Los Angeles until I found a better place to put it.